Hello, true art believers, and welcome. How is everyone doing today? This is Pierson. I am the #1 live art streamer in the world, and this is day 192 of 200 days of drawing, and we're really knocking them out the park, that's for sure. So we're gonna get cracking and start this drawing, shall we? Let's get it going. Let's do it to it. How about that? All right, welcome friends. I hope you're doing well today. Just going to set up my little palette thing this side here. You can't see it because it's only showing Photoshop, and we're going to go ahead and start. Now, what I do every time is I typically just get a local color, typically like I'll do like we're going to do like a green, let's do like a grayish green, like really a grayish green. There we go. That's pretty good. A green that's different from all the other greens that I'm going to be using. And we're going to be doing another simple drawing, another simple cactus today. Very simple. We're going to keep it very simple today, as usual. It's not going to the pattern never changes. And so it's going to be a simple cactus, and I'm going to do one that's we did one like this that's more like this, like an now we're going to do a trident one where the arms are like this, essentially. So that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to make a cactus kind of like that, where the arms are kind of, we're going to make that a little bit like this, and then the arms kind of move like that. And then we have another one at the bottom here. Maybe make this one a little bit lower than normal. Starting up early, starting low like that, and then we have the cactus right here. And we're going to start out after that. After we do this, we do a pot. It's just a very simple pot, kind of going in like a perspective. I always do one that goes to a vanishing point to somewhere to the right side, typically. I don't really change the pattern because it's just easier to do the same thing over and over again. So I kind of keep it like that, a very kind of like a wide looking pot type of thing. And then what I do is I press T to kind of scale it, but I'm not going to scale it this time. So here we go. Here's my cactus shape. Press enter. It's centered. And now what we do is, what kind of color did we do last time? Let's just do like we're just going to kind of go with a greenish type color. We're going to have like a greenish hue for the entire drawing today. Ooh, yeah, we're just going to go like really green. Actually more than that, more like a yellowish. It's like an army green. And I'm hoping that the colors that I do for my cactus itself is going to be like it's going to be like a let's see here. One second. I got an idea. And deselect. And now we're going to kind of and delete and deselect, and then press the eraser button, erase all this. Erase it all. There we go. And we're going to press T so that we can center it. There we go. Whoops. And there we go. There is our shape for this cactus today. And now we just go ahead and we lock the background. I think I'm going to regret the day that I used similar colors as the cactus. And the reason why is because in the past, that has kind of nipped me in the butt. It's kind of been like one of those things where I was doing it and I didn't do it for this particular reason. I was worried that like the green was going to clash with the green cactus, and I think that's happened from time to time. But I'm hoping that I have a like different enough like a different enough green from in the background that in the foreground it's not going to be as apparent. So there's gonna be a separation. So like this is like a yellowish green, and the other green in the background, like this green right here, all around the very back, is it's kind of like it's more of a grayish green. So I'm gonna be using such saturated colors that my assumption that they're gonna be so saturated that you're not gonna really there's not gonna be that blending of green tones in there. Hopefully, I hope that is the case. That is what I'm assuming will happen. It's not always apparent that that's going to happen, and so I try my best to kind of be mindful that that might not occur. So right now I'm just doing some sand here, um, doing like imperfect perspective, like actually quite exaggerated. Like this isn't like perfect perspective, and that's fine. And now we're gonna do the cactus, and I'm gonna be purposely oversaturating the cactus color. So because I want the green to really stand out. So also the green in the background is going to be changed once I get done with this cactus, because I've been doing these like faceted type backgrounds. So there's going to be some pink in there, some yellows, all that cool stuff there before I move on. And I'm being very loose. Actually, I'm not. I'm kind of tightening it up today. I'm already tightening up my hands. I can feel like I'm getting like a death grip on my hands. So I need to like I need to really let go a little bit and dial back the tension, because when I get a death grip, that means I'm going to press really hard on my tablet, and I don't need to be doing that. So I'm trying my best to kind of focus on uh, hand tension so I can be a little bit looser right now. So I'm going to see what it looks like. Take the if we take the outline out, what does that look like? Okay, that's good. In the back in the day, I used to like really make these much cleaner, but now I kind of just accept them as is, because I find that it makes for a more realistic or more organic cactus, and it saves me time actually, because I don't have to like I don't have to what would you call it? Well, would you? I don't have to. What do I don't? I don't have to. I don't know what I was talking about. That's not. That's very disconcerting. Oops, I'm starting to sink in my chair here. Oh, I'm sinking in more. I'm sinking as I drop. I literally, the chair's like losing compression, so I'm going. Tick, tick, tick. That's so funny. Oh man, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm like, I think I might want to leave it like this. I kind of like it like this. It's kind of let's see here. What if we do that? Or okay, I just like opened up a window. I didn't even know how I did that. There we go. And then we do something like this where we, and maybe go back over it. All right. Something like that. And yeah, call it a day. I have a tendency of like overdoing these backgrounds, so be aware that that might occur from time to time. Yeah, I don't know. All right. I think we'll do something like that for fun. Yeah, we'll leave it like that. I have a tendency to kind of go overboard, and I don't want to do it. Yeah, especially when I'm running on a tight time schedule. My goal is to get these drawings done in like 30 minutes. And if I start like second guessing these things, right? If I like start to really overdo or go overboard with the background, everything else kind of goes to the wayside. So I try to avoid that as much as I can, you know. And so that's what I've been trying to do as of lately. Although I find that the more I think about it, the the more issue I have. So like when I've like developed a process of doing what the background should be like, it's actually I find that I've been having more issues with it later on. Maybe make it dark brown, not that. There you go. I think that's a little bit better. Get the eraser, erase the remainder here, like that. Add another layer, press B. There you go, zoom out. And so I was finding that when I was doing that type of strategy, I was having more issues because I was starting to kind of get what would you call it? I was overly complicating it with the background, and yeah, so I'm trying to avoid that right now. I'm trying to avoid overcomplicating the background. Like my knee jerk response is to actually have a higher saturation because I like my net default. I default on oh I default on how do I default on my name I default on higher saturated colors, and it that is not always the best thing to do, you know. And so I try to sometimes when I feel that uncomfortable, what I'll do is I'll leave it like that because that usually means that I'm like hitting a nerve with the drawing, and that probably means I'm on the right track visually. And so that's what I typically do is like if I find that it makes me a little bit uncomfortable, then it's probably means that I am on the right track visually with the drawing. And so that's what I typically do is if I get a little bit uncomfortable with it, you know, then I'm probably doing something right with regards to the drawing itself, you know. And so that's what I typically try to do sometimes. So I'm going to do one more layer for the for this, and we're gonna add like a bright purple here, even brighter, like a little bright, like that, something like purposely over the top. Like that doesn't even make any sense. And then maybe like even go so far as having like some bright red here, have it kind of splash it here, kind of like like a little splash there, and then maybe have like that bright yellow. No, maybe if we have some purple, more purple actually. Let's just put more purple on this side. You know, a little bit more purple. Let's kind of splash it on there. Then maybe even have like underneath some of the yellow kind of going underneath there, and then have some of that kind of trailing through as well. Maybe have it right here. Just like, just add, nope, not right there. Went right here a little bit. And then I think that'll be it as far as that. And now we're gonna work on the sand now. And typically the sand goes really quickly for me. Just kind of go to a middle yellow and then add cast shadow. like this, something like that will be fine. Then add a bright yellow-ish, maybe a little bit more of a tannish yellow, maybe even bright. Kind of put something like that and add some like yellow on top. Then right here, we're gonna go maybe like a dark brown this time, kind of. And then some like dark purple. A little bit of purple right here, a little bit purple right here, and like a little purple. Too much purple. There we go, something like that. And I think that'll be it. Wait, a little bit right here. There we go. I want that. And now that's the sands done. We're going to lock that layer. And now we're going to lock this layer. Press Shift, Control E, and lock that. Now we're time to go to the cactus. And what I've been doing on the cactus drawing is I've been doing like major shortcuts, and it saved me some time. So we're going to do some major shortcuts on the cactus here. Let's see. We're going to do this. We're going to use an airbrush, and we're going to basically do the highlights, even brighter than that, highlights, and then we're going to do the dark tones right here, like that. And then all we do next is we go on top, and we're starting to top. We're working backwards, or working kind of like semi backwards. So now the next thing I do is I add the I go into texture brush, and then I shrink the brush down to like 25 pixels. We're going to take this tone, and we're going to make a long. We're just going to basically add like the those riblet things that you see on those little fissures that you see on the cactus, right? And then we're going to start, after we work from the top for a second, so we're adding the top little lines here, then we're going to go micro and start adding like the, what would you call it? So this is I'm going a little bit different as with this as well. So you start adding the like this darker, a slightly lighter dark tone in between. So that's what I typically do. Is I typically do that as well. And this one's going a little bit different. I'm executing a little bit differently than normal. It's like I'm doing some marks that I normally don't do. So I've been doing normally typically straighter lines, but now I'm going to play it around with kind of creating like that almost feels like bark to me on this top layer, and see what happens to that, and see if I like doing that. I think that might be something to kind of pursue for the next 10 or so drawings. And then after that, we just kind of move the line thing up, and we just make the brush bigger, and we're kind of do like a really abstract background, really abstract darker tone on the back behind these lines that you see. And then we're going to up the value again. And so what the highlight, the airbrush tone does, it just acts as like a way to cover my bases. If I miss like an area, the background airbrush tone will kind of mask it. So that's a way of kind of covering my bases. So after this, we're going to go in, going to make it even brighter, maybe move the tone around, maybe make it a little more yellow. I don't know. I'm going to go even brighter and kind of add like a highlight tone. So we're just making it even brighter now. And yeah, that's how we're doing it. So we just kind of go brighter and brighter. Very simple process. And it's something I've been working with. I've been kind of slowly developing as I've been doing these drawings over and over again. I don't know. I'm not saying that this is a great way of doing it, but it's certainly a quick and effective way. It allows me to get the drawing done quicker. So before I wasn't even typically right around the 20-minute mark, which is where we're at right now, is when I pretty much was starting my cactus, like starting the color tones on it. Now I'm actually doing details on the cactus when before I never even got to that point. So now we're going to do a highlight, like a highlighter, like a lighter tone, right? And just kind of add those highlight tones, something like this. And yeah, we're going to we're going to do the highlight tones here. So as you can see, I add some highlights here. And I haven't even touched this area, and I will touch that. I'm going to make those things feel a little bit more like blended. But I'm just kind of going to like general details at the moment. Now I'm going to add like super bright. Zoom in for just a little bit. Kind of add some bright streaks here. And then I'm going to go behind on a layer behind it and kind of work on it again. Work on a different layer and kind of play around with it and kind of tweak things. So that's what I'm going to do. So now I'm going to do another layer, but it's going to be like behind those highlights, and we're just going to kind of tweak things a little bit and just kind of use a slightly bigger brush, kind of meld those forms a little bit more. And I'm doing a lot of color swabbing or eye drop testing to test the colors around, and we're kind of blending those forms just a little bit more, making them a little bit more uniform so that they kind of work together a little bit better, more coherently. It's kind of adding, there we go. It's kind of blending those tones together. So now we're at the 23-minute mark. We're doing really good. So this is what this process kind of enabled me to do, is to kind of simplify the strategy and then really dial it in, or at least I think it's dialing it. It's more dialed in. I don't know. I could be wrong. I just feel like it's a little bit more streamlined. It's working a little bit more effectively. It's hard to notice it because of the sometimes you're when you're doing these things and you've done so many of them. Like I've done almost 100 of these. I'm like 80. I'm on number 88. Um, it's hard to know whether what you're doing is getting better or the method that you're doing is better. So like I look forward to starting a whole new like drawing series after this, so I can kind of take a slight breath back from what I was doing originally and seeing if I was on point with the drawing strategy. And it's taken me a while to kind of build this type of strategy or like way of kind of creating these cactuses. And as I said, it's really hard to know whether or not this is the best way. I think it's just a way that's been starting to get really effective. Okay, so let's zoom out real quick. Okay, so that's fine. I kind of like it like that. Now we're gonna get some brighter tones. I want to get like I like to make the tops of the cactuses brighter, like they have like as if it's like the tops are peaks of mountains and the tops are like that's snow, right? Like if cactuses had snow, that's what it will look like, on top. All right, so we're gonna go on top here, and we're gonna play around with the highlights a little bit more, just briefly, just kind of emphasizing some of those highlights some more, just kind of blending them in a little bit more so they feel. kind of, and now what I typically do is I take this, oops, I go on this layer again, and then I kind of play it around with the dark tones even more. So I make it even darker in certain areas, especially on the bottoms. I kind of push that tone some. So I kind of make it a little bit darker on the bottom here on purpose. So that's what I'm typically doing. I typically do on the last layers. I exaggerate those tones even more so it feels even more contrasty, and it gives the cactus kind of like a more like a dark feel to it. I went from really really bright and cheery looking cactuses to kind of like ghost cactuses, like they're like as if they're haunted cactuses or something. So that's what I've kind of started doing, is kind of playing around with that. Kind of do a little bit. So you can kind of see that I've kind of managed to make those areas slightly darker, especially like a little bit right here for fun. And we're gonna trim that off. That's what we're gonna do. Trim that off. There you go. Now we're gonna go and make this area dark. So we're at 27 minutes, so we're almost done. So we're making really, really good time. I have to say this. And I've streamlined at least I think I streamlined it. I say this now, and then all of a sudden, like, this takes me another 10 minutes. I hope I can get it done in less than that, but we'll see. So now I'm kind of adding just like a dark hatching type tone around here to kind of pretend like that this is creating like a cast shadow. So I want it to feel like it's darker on this side. There you go. Kind of do something like this. Kind of add a little bit of. Okay. I think that's good. Now I want to do the same thing on this side, on the bottom side right here. Just a little bit. Kind of emphasize. Nopes. Nopes. Kind of emphasize this and maybe add a little bit more. I'm kind of creating like I'm doing like an angular hatching. There you go. Kind of do something like that. Scumble it, and then the last thing I do is I do local colors. So I do something like this. So I'll take this green and then I'll go to red, and then I'll add a relatively a red that is similar in tone. So I'll go to the red here, and I'll add like that red here, just a little bit, and then right here, whatever that red is, I'll go to the green and add like the orange. So a bright version of that orange, kind of scumble it right there. And the same thing goes with this. We'll find this tone, and it's like a yellowish, so I add that kind of like yellowish tone here, a little yellowish tone right here, and then the orange there. Here we go, do the orange, a little bit of orange here, not a lot. It's gonna add it there, add a little bit more, kind of hide that. I don't really want it everywhere, you know. And I think I got the most of the areas I want. And this is going to be a specific green. So we're like a green that kind of matches this tone a little bit. Maybe add it on the bottom here, just a little bit right here, add a little bit like that. And now what I'm going to do is, since the background is kind of yellow, we're going to do like we're going to take this tone and we're going to do like a yellowish tone. So like this dark tone is now going to have a little bit of yellow in it. If you can kind of see me scrubbing here, I'm kind of adding like a yellow ochre tone in some of these areas, in the cast shadows, in these dark tones, to kind of make it feel like it's connected to the background. And I don't do much. I don't need to do much. Just kind of throw some in there, just a little bit, just a little bit that's kind of noticeable. It's not. I'm not going, right? I'm just kind of throwing a little bit, scumbling it on there. Just kind of scumble some of that tone in there so that it feels a little bit more unified. And then that will be it with this tone. I think everything's fine. Now we're just going to do thorns. So we're at 31 minutes. So roughly, this is a good point. If I can get the drawing done in 35 minutes, that's really good. Um, and that's after doing what amounts to having more than normal. And I'm talking. So the talking part really does slow me down substantially. It's just like, I just can't avoid slowing down every time I talk. It's such a slow, I can't explain it other than just doing the act of talking it just kind of slows down the process. And there's been times where actually kind of I speak and the just talking about it kind of just slows the whole process down. So we're going to add I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like bundles of 3. So whenever I do some thorns, I'm going to kind of bundle them in 3s or like patch them in like 3s in some sort of organization. So I do like this, and then I kind of put one in here, So this is how I'm going to do the thorns today, is that they're going to be like in bundles of 3. So it's going to look kind of patchy. To some extent. And I'm not going to change that. Although sometimes it's a little too formulaic. All right. All right. So just keep doing it and hope that I can finish it in the next 3 minutes, because thorns can take a while to do. They're like annoying little like things that are necessary for this piece, for these drawings. And I actually think I put way too many thorns. I noticed that when I first started out doing these cactuses, I did very little thorns, and then I started adding more and more thorns, and now I think I'm got to the point where like I'm doing too many, and now I need to figure out how I can. I still haven't figured out found a like a good medium amount or median amount of thorns to be doing in these cactuses. Some don't mind having this many thorns. Some people are like, this is way too many thorns. It is what it is, but so I do spend like a good 5 minutes on thorns, as you can see. All right. Let's go and do this. So we zoom out. Try to zoom out. Now okay, there we go. For a second, I thought my computer locked out on me. Now, if that was the case, I'd be very upset. So I need to think about this. Really think about like what is the right amount of thorns to do. And if you look at cactuses, man, they're covered in them. So like I'm not doing enough thorns technically. Like they're like just their whole thing is thorns. Or maybe I just need to look at cactuses a little bit more in depth and just kind of like say, you know what? This is how cactuses really are with regards to thorns. So that's what I'm going to do. I think before I do my next drawing, I'm going to do a little bit of looking around and see how thorns are how are thorns on cactuses, and then see if I can emulate them a little bit, see if I can get something similar. And so that's what I'm going to do next time, because this feels like I'm sprinkling like glitter or thorn glitter on. I knew it was going to take me 35 minutes. I knew it. And it's just a little much. Like I recognize myself putting too many thorns, and then when I found like when you put too many thorns, you can't backtrack it. Well, I decide that I can't backtrack it because once I've started with a certain amount of volume of thorns, I decide that that's the course that the cactus is going to go. So if I decide that I'm going to put this many thorns on there, I decide that it's going to be like this the entire time, because if I decide to change like the amount midway, you're going to have like this visual disparity in amount of thorns around the entire cactus. So the moment I start applying thorns, and if they're very dense, they just stay dense throughout the cactus. Otherwise, if I kind of like, I'm going to put a few here, I'm going to put a few here, and put a few here, it just doesn't work out, you know. And the thorns are kind of like really arbitrary. And as you can see, I can't zoom out. There we go. That's not bad. I don't think it's a lot of thorns, but I think it works. You know? Okay. So here we go. We're going to let's see, go right here on the bottom, and at like 9 Pierson P21. Oops. 192 out of 200. 200. 192 drawings, or 100 day 192 out of 200. And that is it, friends. So pretty good. 30 about 35 minutes, 36 minutes to do a drawing, and 5 of that was thorns. I am going to be reevaluating how I do my thorns in the future. I hope you enjoyed this process, and I want to say thank you for everyone that was watching. That is it for the day. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share, and all that fun stuff. Really do appreciate you and appreciate the act. And I must get going today. I hope you had a wonderful experience. This is Pierson. Cheers.